G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marky Industries. Hope you all had a fantastic Christmas day. We're back with some more stories from Reddit, so sit back, relax, hit like and subscribe and all that jazz, and let's get straight to it. Alrighty, we're kicking things off on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user No Situation, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend I can't trust her anymore when it comes to her wanting a baby? I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 26, for 4 years. She has told me she always wanted children. We just didn't actively try for one though. I never pressured her into having a baby, it was more so her idea. I make enough and we own a home, so having a baby is something we can do. So to clarify, I'm not mad at her for this. I'm extremely concerned and I feel like everything she said about her wanting a baby was a lie. Abortion is also legal up to 21 weeks of pregnancy in our state. So she told me she was pregnant, she was having symptoms and took a test. She was happy about it and excited. I was happy as well and offered to make an appointment for her. We both went together and she was 6 weeks pregnant. We have been planning. She even told her friends and family. She ended up having a miscarriage at around 9 weeks. It was sudden and she was upset, and I comforted her about it. It seemed very tough for her, so I did my best to try and make her feel better. I had to retrieve something from a drawer in our bedroom, and I found some herbs covered under a bag. It was pennyroyal and mugwort. I was confused because I've heard of pennyroyal being used to cause self-abortions. I asked her about it and she immediately became defensive and told me that she didn't know where it came from. I kept trying to ask her about it and she ended up telling me she used it to have a miscarriage. She was crying and I was just in shock. I asked her why. I told her she didn't have to lie to me about it, and I'm confused because she was the one who really wanted a baby. She didn't give me an answer about it. I told her that we need to go to the hospital to make sure she isn't hurt, since pennyroyal is toxic, but she kept declining. It's been a few days and she seems fine. I've been trying to ask her about this, but she just says she doesn't want to talk about it. Apparently she was telling her friends and family she had a miscarriage and has been accepting condolences. She's avoiding this, but I don't want to push it towards her anymore. I'm not too sure what to do about this because I'm worried she might be having some type of mental breakdown or something. I eventually told her that she should not tell me about having a baby again, and I can't trust her about it anymore. She was upset hearing that, but what else could I say about something like this? This might make me a huge a-hole, but in the back of my mind has been thinking she might have done this for attention from her friends and family. I don't know what to do, and I feel like a horrible person for even thinking this stuff. Edit, I'm thankful for all the info on the herbs and all of the advice. I can't comment for a few hours because I'm going to not be on Reddit, but I'm going to talk to her tonight. And tomorrow, or whenever everything is calmed down, I will make an update. Oh yeah, it sounds like she really had a change of heart very quickly. Whatever the case or cause of this, she can't just bottle it up like this. It's not good for anyone involved. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. Speaking as a professional herbalist, pennyroyal in particular can indeed cause damage to the liver or kidneys, depending on the quantity and potency of how much she consumed. Mugwort is less toxic, but has been known to cause miscarriage as it affects hormone levels significantly. I highly suggest getting a checkup and mentioning ingesting those herbs and how much. That said, this is a relationship-ending decision. While your partner has every right to decide to terminate an unwanted pregnancy, she lied to you, concealed her decision to use a DIY and dangerous abortifacient, and then accepted condolences for her miscarriage that she probably caused. This indicates a level of mental health problem that is not safe for any future family plans, let alone the loss of trust for having deceived you to such a degree over such an important life-changing event. She needs therapy, and you need to leave this relationship or choose to never have children. If she decided at a later time in the pregnancy to take herbs like this, there's a serious risk to both her and a possible child. Just because something is natural doesn't make it safe. Hemlock is natural. Cyanide is natural. I can name 20 plants that could kill you or make you wish it had. That's why you need to talk to a qualified herbalist before making up a potion. Seriously, you need to leave this relationship. It's not safe, and she can't be trusted. Opie replies, Thank you for this. She won't even tell me how much pennyroyal she's taken, but she did tell me she drank around 8 strong cups of mugwort. I'm guessing she's worried I'd call an ambulance on her or force her to go to the hospital if she told me how much pennyroyal she'd taken. I didn't see fully how much pennyroyal is left since I didn't get a close look. I'm going to have to recheck in the drawer. I really don't know why she won't tell me. You're right, I think I need to end this relationship, but it might be a mess. I'm going to talk to her tonight whenever I'm not busy. Several comments say that Opie's girlfriend needs to get in therapy because the changes in her behaviour are to be concerned about. You're right, she needs therapy bad after this, but since I can't even have her go to the hospital, I'm not sure how I can even convince her to see a therapist. I'm going to talk to her tonight, and I'm taking some of these comments' advice to see what I can do about this. I can see two possible reasons why she would do this and act this way after. She realised after getting pregnant that she isn't ready to be a mother, most probable one, or the baby wasn't yours, much lower on the probability scale. Opie replies, I didn't even think about the second choice. For the top choice I also get, but I'm shocked she wouldn't get a medical abortion instead. She's going to have to deal with the negative side effects of the herbs she's taken. She knows I'm pro-choice because I'm vocal about it, so I'm shocked she didn't come to see me. If I'd either come with her or she would go herself. We even have a Planned Parenthood near us. Yeah, that's bizarre, and I was like OP, I didn't even think about that second option, the baby not being his. That might make a little bit more sense with the way she went about it, but still. Let's go to an update the next day. Firstly, for some context, we have a Planned Parenthood that specializes in abortions like 5 minutes away. I understand people thinking she didn't want to get an abortion because of protesters. I completely understand. I drive by that specific place every single day for work. I've seen no protesters. It's usually empty besides a few cars on the side of the road. But I still understand why she wouldn't want a medical abortion from reading the comments. I asked her why. What was her goal here? She was trying really hard to avoid the conversation and left the room, but I apologize if this makes me an a-hole. I told her if we can't have a conversation about this, I have to end the relationship. She came back in and said the reason why she did this was because she never felt like her family gave her enough attention in life and didn't feel supported by them, so she wanted to tell them she had a miscarriage so they can feel bad for her. I was confused because she could have just gotten a medical abortion and lied about it instead of just harming her body with a toxic herb. I asked her about that, and she told me she wanted to have the experience of having an actual miscarriage. I was so confused and in shock, so I didn't say much else because all of this just sounded crazy to me. She told me she didn't want me to be mad at her and she doesn't want to break up, and she was literally begging me to not break up with her. I asked her, is there any chance the baby wouldn't have been mine? She said no. I told her she needs therapy ASAP. I thankfully make enough to afford therapy, and I told her I'll pay for her if she just please goes to therapy. She agreed. I also told her she needs to go to the hospital, and I was telling her all of your comments about the septic that can happen and liver and kidney damage, and that kind of scared her into going to the hospital to get checked out. We went to the hospital last night, and thankfully she is okay. Apparently she drank around 1 cup of it a day for a few days. I found out she was also taking some other things, high dose of vitamin C, turmeric, parsley. That's pretty much it for now, but I'm not too sure where to go from here. I love her, and I do want to be with her, but all of this is so out of the blue. Thanks for all the comments on the last post. If anything else happens, I'll make another update. A commenter says, she sounds like she has some serious mental health issues like others have said. If you choose to stay, then I would be cautious moving forward having kids with her. She's willing to cause herself self-harm for the sake of attention. There's no telling what she would do if you guys had already had the child. I've seen mothers fake their child's illness for attention before. She comes off as deeply troubled and manipulative. I don't think she wants to hurt anyone out of malice, but it's still very concerning. If you stay, therapy is a must. Opie says, thank you. Yeah, the idea of having a baby is well off the table now. I'm not too sure where I'm going to go with this, but I'm heavily thinking about leaving the relationship after reading the comments. I'm just worried about her possibly harming herself if I do break up with her. Yeah, potentially causing a miscarriage for yourself because you want to feel what it's like? That is just full on. Okay, Opie makes a final update 2 days later. A lot has happened from my last post and now everything is calmer now. I'm hoping this will be my last update. Apologies since this is going to be long. In my last post, I told her she needed to go to therapy ASAP. I told her I'll pay and everything. I just hoped for the love of frickin' God, for just her, to please go to therapy. That was the only thing I wanted. I haven't set up anything yet, because she told me she doesn't want to go to therapy now. She told me she will never do what she did again, and doesn't believe she needs therapy. I was going back and forth with her on this, but she was very insistent on not wanting therapy. I told her I can't move on in this relationship if she doesn't go to therapy. She was arguing with me about it and told me if I loved her, I will stay in this relationship regardless, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. I was pretty ticked hearing that because not only did she purposely miscarriage the baby we planned for, she harmed herself for no reason, in her words, to experience an actual miscarriage, and I can't even trust her anymore. I was thinking about telling her parents at this point, and I accidentally brought it up out of worry of her mental health and me being ticked off, and she begged me, got on the ground and begged me to not tell her parents. I took her word because I didn't want her to lose her mind even more over this. I told her I absolutely have to leave this relationship. I told her it isn't my responsibility anymore, because this has honestly been making me lose my mind too. I was holding it back, but I can't really take it anymore. Also, yesterday, before this fight, she publicly stated on Facebook that she had a miscarriage and was tore up about it, accepting condolences again in the comments. I brought that up to her, and she told me the same thing in my last post. She was pretty much just wanting to feel important to friends and family. She was so nonchalant about it and honestly seemed like she thought that I wouldn't care. I told her to stop posting about it and to stop telling people. Back to when we were having the fight, I told her seriously I can't be with her anymore. I will allow you to stay here or you can go back to your parents. She was laying on the ground crying at this point. I had my phone ready because my gut feeling was telling me that she might do something to herself. She would come out of the room she was packing in and come close to me and hug me out of nowhere. She said that if I'm breaking up with her, she wants a last final hug. The wildest thing is she came out of the room with one of my shirts on, a shirt she was not wearing before, takes it off right in front of me and tells me, "Here's your shirt back." I don't know what she was trying to do. She finally ended up leaving and went to her parents. Right before she left, she was crying, and I think it started to hit her that I was actually being serious. She was messaging me and calling me constantly, ranging from her just fixing this together, saying she wants therapy now, and her saying that she'll never do what she did again. I've been ignoring all of it. I realize this is not my responsibility now, and her parents can take care of it. Like what my worry has been, apparently she did try to harm herself. Her mum messaged me about it. She said that her daughter is at the hospital, and I'm assuming now on a hold because she tried to kill herself. She's physically fine. That is the last of it, and I'm thinking this will be my last update. I'm not going back to her, and I'm going to try to stop thinking about all of this and get a good lock for my door. Thanks for all the advice on the last post. Edit. I'm telling her parents now. If anything happens, I'll just update it here. And edit 2. I ended up telling her parents. I had messages relating to this between me and her, took photos of the herbs she used, and told them everything. Thankfully, they didn't accuse me or do anything drastic, and thanked me for telling them. They said they'll tell the hospital what I told them. Not too sure what's going on at the moment or what's going to happen after since she's being held right now. I'll update this if anything else happens. One comment says, "I'm glad you pulled yourself out of the relationship because she is not healthy mentally. I do suggest talking to her parents to make sure they get her some real help. Her actions were really messed up." Opie says, "I'm thinking about telling her parents very soon. I didn't before because I didn't know if it would have been a good idea since they're the pro-life type. I understand she's not my responsibility anymore, but I don't want someone that's going through a mental break go through even more." You're not the a-hole. It sounds like you've been carrying the weight of a situation far beyond what most people could handle, and you did your best to set healthy boundaries while ensuring her safety by informing her parents. Her refusal to seek therapy, manipulative behavior, and the way she handled the miscarriage, both physically and emotionally, shows serious red flags that you're right to step away from. Her mental health is not your responsibility, especially when she refuses help. You've done the right thing by involving her parents, and now you need to focus on your own well-being. Stay firm in your decision, and don't let guilt pull you back into a situation that's unhealthy for both of you. Yeah, 100%, and I'm glad he told her parents. They need to know what's going on in her head. Or I suppose in this case, not know so they can get her the help she needs. Anyway guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that one down in the comments. Let me know and we'll move on to another story. Alrighty, we're back over on relationships. This one was written by user GFJQ23 and it's titled, I posted on Facebook about Santa Claus not being real. My niece is a Facebook friend and is now devastated. Sister is furious with me. I can't believe I even need to post this, but here we go. I posted the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool meme where he tells kids about sex and says how Santa isn't real. My niece, who just turned 13, has a Facebook account that is about a week old. I honestly forgot I even have her as a friend. My sister called me, furious. Apparently she had to come clean to both my nieces, the other one is 11, and now they're so upset they couldn't go to school today. I told her I thought she'd told them years ago about Santa not being real, but I still felt bad and apologized. She says that isn't good enough and that I need to publicly say how Santa is real and provide proof to my nieces how I believe Santa is real. I refuse. I think they're far too old to be believing in Santa still. My mother and father sided with my sister, saying I shouldn't ruin my niece's Christmas and take away their childhood prematurely. I feel like I'm in crazy town. I just sent an email saying I'm sorry the incident happened and that my nieces are hurting, but that I'm not going to pretend Santa exists because I feel that is an unreasonable request. My parents have said they are disappointed in me, and my sister said until I agree to lie about Santa that she is going no contact. Am I wrong that 13 and 11 is a fine age to stop believing in Santa? I get that they're all upset, but isn't this an inevitable part of growing up? Usually my family is reasonable, so I'm a bit shocked about all of this, honestly. My sister and her family aren't even Christian. Yes, I know Santa isn't a Christian thing, but Christmas is a Christian holiday. We never really made a big deal out of Christmas beyond eating good food and opening a few gifts. Yeah, no, I started laughing midway through because of the absurdity of it all. I mean, yeah, sure, apologize for, spilling the beans, so to speak, but going back on Facebook and posting about how he is real and providing proof? Like, bro, what proof are you gonna give? Send him a pic of a bearded man in the North Pole or something? Like, come on, it's laughable. Anyway, let's read some comments. If she's old enough for Facebook, she's old enough to know about Santa. And keeping the kids home to grieve over the death of Santa? Your sister is weird. Tell your sister that if she's not okay with her daughter seeing something that's perfectly allowed on Facebook, but apparently age inappropriate for her daughter, then maybe she should stop letting her daughter use Facebook. Or conversely, if she thinks her daughter is old enough to use Facebook, then she's also old enough to see anything that anybody might reasonably post on there. Your sister is having difficulty with her daughters growing up. If the kids really still believed in Santa, then she has been keeping them ignorant and innocent to a degree that borders on abusive. Do the girls know the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy aren't real either? Your parents are enabling your sister's weirdness. I guess you could post that, yes, Virginia, there's a Santa Claus letter, but I surely wouldn't do anything more than that. Your sister should be more worried about the 13-year-old finding a baby in the Cabbage Patch than leaving milk and cookies for a man in a red suit. Opie says, the weird thing is my sister is a very sex-positive parent. My nieces all know about sex, birth control and stuff like that. So, sex is okay when they're ready for it, but Santa Claus not being real is a horrible thing? Wait, you're telling me the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist either? They ruined. Opie edits. So my niece sent me a text from school asking why her mum was mad at me. I said it was over the whole Santa thing, and she said, that's stupid. Who still believes in Santa? So yeah, I called my sister out on this whole BS situation and for making up lies to try and make me feel bad. She called my parents crying, so my parents told me the standard line of having me be the bigger person and patch things up. Not this time. I told them to quit sticking their noses into an argument that has nothing to do with them, but honestly I'm so ticked, they can all F off for a while. I'm not responding to anyone unless I get an apology. Yeah, fair enough. Edit 2. Crazy Town. Sister said, I can't believe you responded to niece after I told you not to talk to her. It's disrespectful to me. You mean you're just upset you got caught in a lie? It wasn't a lie. It was a justified exaggeration to prove a point. What frickin' point? That your words and actions on Facebook have consequences. Let me get this straight. You won't let me talk to the nieces because I posted a meme about Santa not existing, even though they don't believe in Santa anymore. What if they were younger? Well, they aren't. What the F kind of logic is that? I can't talk to you when you're being unreasonable and refuse to see the point. Okay, good luck with that. When you're ready to apologize, you can send me a message. What the frick do I have to apologize for? I don't even know why you're upset when I'm the only one with the right to be upset. Figure it out. Edit 3. You know, this isn't normal behavior for my sister. I reached out to my brother-in-law and he says he's been concerned the past few days. It's been like a switch was flipped and she started acting nuts. He's going to make her an appointment with their doctor. It might just be stress, but never hurts to check it out. Alright, let's go to an update. To summarize the last post, I posted a Ryan Reynolds meme about Santa Claus not being real on Facebook, which my 13-year-old niece saw. My sister flipped out about it and wanted me to publicly rescind and say how Santa is real, but I thought my nieces were too old to believe in that stuff and refused. It led to a crazy fight between us. Anyway, I talked to my nieces and neither of them believe in Santa, so they were baffled about the fight. I talked to my brother-in-law and he said my sister has been flying off the handle lately. We agreed she should probably get a checkup and he convinced her to go to the doctor. On to the update. They did an MRI and nothing showed up. Then they did some blood work which looked fine except for some elevated cholesterol. She isn't pregnant. They pretty much wrote her off as a crazy person and sent her to a psychologist for stress. After a session, the psychologist told her to do some deep breathing and sent her away as fixed. She got worse. She stopped sleeping and barely ate, yet still gained weight. Any small annoyance would send her into a rage. Commercials were making her so upset she would ugly cry. I asked my brother-in-law if they tested hormone levels or anything like that, and he said the doctors didn't feel it was necessary. She called me one day crying and apologizing, saying she was the worst sister ever and I had every right to hate her. She was so devastated she ruined our relationship and such. It was weird and not my sister, so when I got a chance to speak, I told her she was going to see my doctor and I wasn't taking no for an answer. I set up an appointment and my doctor ordered a full blood panel, including hormone and vitamins, before my sister drove to town for her appointment. When my sister drove up, we spent the morning shopping and she was unpredictable. One minute she was happy and the next yelling about some perceived sight. That frickin' pretentious makeup counter bee just looked at me funny for my cheap drugstore makeup. It was uncomfortable, so I just walked on eggshells to keep her from exploding. Anyway, results of the blood work and a good doctor. Perimenopause. Her hormones are completely abnormal. None of her doctors would even consider it because she was too young for menopause, so they didn't even bother running the tests. She'll be coming up with a care plan with my doctor for hormone replacement therapy and diet change to hopefully get back on track. She's still a nutcase right now. For example, she called me crying the other night because she'll never have more kids. What? Her husband had a vasectomy years ago. I'm driving to her place next weekend and we're going to batch cook a bunch of meals for her new diet plan. I'll be doing it with her as I could stand to eat healthier, so it'll be a slow process, but we have a diagnosis and plan. I'm just taking her outbursts as crazy hormones right now because it'll take a while to even out. I got her a dark chocolate cake for Easter that said, "Happy Reverse Easter," when the Easter Bunny takes back your eggs, because I'm kind of a jerk. She thought it was hilarious though, so we're good. Edit removed the comment about being bipolar, though my sister-in-law has professionally diagnosed bipolarism and does have wildly swinging moods within minutes sometimes, though usually a manic high or low last weeks. It wasn't my intention to slur a group of people. My sister was acting very much like my sister-in-law can act sometimes, so it was the best reference I could make. I apologize for offending anybody. One comment says, on the Happy Reverse Easter cake, "This is the best thing ever. So glad you figured it out. Good for you for realizing she was totally out of whack and helping her get back on track. Good luck." Opie says, "Well, like I said, it wasn't abnormal for a teenaged sister. She was a huge drama queen back then. It was abnormal for a 36-year-old sister. I guess she's just sensitive to hormone fluctuations." But what about the parents? Did they come around and apologize or not? Seriously, they acted like they're perimenopausal too, or just favor one sister way more than the other. If you are old enough to be on social media, you are old enough to know, and probably do know, that things like Santa and the Easter Bunny aren't real. If you're not mature enough to handle that, you definitely are not ready to be online. That was my first red flag for the sister before she even talked to the nieces. I'm glad the sister is getting help, because the whole situation was crazy pants, and it's always good when the crazy has an easily fixable explanation, particularly when kids are involved. Why were the doctors willing to do an MRI but not a hormone panel blood test? Idiots. I'm 28 and I got one on my gyno's recommendation literally 2 days ago to test for PCOS. Insurance fully covers it and it takes like 5 minutes. But no, let's jump to brain tumor and do a frickin' MRI. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta respect your medical professionals, but you just hear so many stories like this that, I guess, leaves you second-guessing opinions from people like doctors, and that's the last thing you want to be doing when you're going to a hospital about something you're concerned about. Anyway, guys, that's the end of that story. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, as always. Either way, we're gonna move on again. Okie dokie, we're back on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my sister-in-law selfish after she made things personal? I, 31 female, have 2 sons, 15. Because of my age, my parents took care of my boys until I was 18. I was involved and they knew I was their mother, but my mum wanted me to be a normal teen. I have a little brother, 27. Me and him are extremely close. He married his wife, Alice, 28, when he was 22, and I tolerate her. My sons really like Alice. She works with kids and loves them, so I wasn't surprised. The first time they met, my sons were 6 and they were always talking about her. As my sons grew, I worked often and couldn't always be with them. My parents babysat them, and once my brother got older, he did too. Now my brother and his wife babysit them while I work. The thing is, my brother has triplets, aged 4, male, and taking care of 3 toddlers and 2 teenagers is not easy. He called me a few times saying that he's really stressed out due to his job. Yesterday, I went to their house to pick up my sons. I planned on telling my sister-in-law that my boys are old enough to stay home alone after school, and she doesn't need to have them over all the time because I understand how stressful it is. Instead, I was met with my sons begging me to let them stay the night at their house and my sister-in-law asking me to consider it. I was upset because it's been days since I got a night off, and I wanted to be with my sons. I asked my sister-in-law to talk in private and told her that I'm their mother and I deserve to spend time with them too. Basically, I asked her to reschedule. She said that I could join them, but I wanted to spend time with just my boys. I said this and she said that was pretty selfish of me because the boys don't want to. This part hurts, but Alice said that my boys wished she was their mother and that I should do better instead of complaining to her about everything. I complained to her a few times before about how they prefer her, but she always reassured me that wasn't true. In retaliation, I called her selfish for forcing my brother to take care of so many kids, despite the amount of stress she knows he's in. She rolled her eyes and walked away. I was about to cry, so I left. One of my sons called me a couple of times, but I went to sleep. I woke up to a text from my brother saying he adored my sons and that he never felt pressured to take care of them. Yes, his job has been a pain, but my sons and his wife don't add to the stress at all. He also said that my house is in an unsafe neighborhood, while they live in a much better community, so having the boys stay home alone is irresponsible and dangerous. That just made me more upset, so I told him to F off, and he told me that I could say whatever to him, but not to speak to his wife like earlier. Now, I believe I'm in the right to say what I did because my sister-in-law is acting as if I'm the worst mother despite knowing how hard I'm working. She also made things unnecessarily personal, but my brother is making it seem like I'm the a-hole. So, am I the a-hole for calling her selfish? Well, let's go to the comments. You're the a-hole. If the teens are old enough to be home alone, they're also old enough to choose that they want to be with their aunt and uncle after school. It makes no sense to tell them that they have to be home alone instead of with family if all parties want them there and to be there. You're the a-hole. You're putting your own wants over your children's. I do think 15 is old enough to stay home alone, but they want to be somewhere where they're wanted instead of being alone. I'm sorry you're in this situation though. You're the a-hole for not appreciating the love and care your brother and sister-in-law are offering your kids and not thanking them. Nothing will change the fact that you're the mother of your kids, and I'm sure your family knows you're doing your best for them. But this is not a competition. Your kids are getting love and care from multiple people. Be grateful and be flexible. Your brother seems to be a really good role model for your kids. Okay, let's go straight to an update. I'm really emotional right now, so I'm just going to get right to it. I know people aren't asking for an update, but I wanted to share. After I made my post, I read through all your comments, and I realized that I was indeed the a-hole. I recognize this, however I can't deny that what my sister-in-law said hurt. Bad. It bothered me a lot. I even took a day off, which I've never done in my life, because I didn't have it in me to get up. My whole world shattered, and I know it's my fault. The morning of the 17th, after my brother dropped off my boys, they came into my room and told me they had to show me something. My boys are really musically talented, and turns out they made a video of them playing a song for me. I burst into happy tears. My birthday is today, actually, and they planned on showing it to me today, but were aware that I was upset, and apparently my brother found out I stayed home from work, and they all decided to show it to me earlier. I don't think you all understand how I feel. I've always been so insecure, and like many of you mentioned, I've always been jealous of how well Alice connected with my boys, and thought I couldn't compare to her, and after what she said, I felt much worse. But I know that I have nothing to be jealous or insecure about. Yes, my boys adore my brother and his wife, but I'm their mother, and they love me too. They reassured me on it, and I told them that I loved them the most in the entire world, and we basically had a heart-to-heart. I even called Alice and we both apologized. She said that she was upset because one of my boys had been upset about how I wasn't at one of his recitals, and instead of making an effort to be more involved in their lives, I just complain. And I admit, I always thought that working and making money for my boys was the most important thing, that if I work overtime and miss a few concerts, it was fine, that they'll appreciate it in the long run. I know that it's wrong, and although it's a hard mindset to change, I'm planning on making a few changes to my work schedule so that I have more free time. Not now, as I'm currently saving up to get a new place in a more secure area, but in a few weeks. I told this to my sons and got their reactions. I've never felt happier. Like many of you also mentioned, I'm pretty freaking lucky. I have the most supportive and loving family and the best sons I could have ever asked for. I can only hope to be as wonderful as them. I know I sound emotional, but I've spent a lot of time with my boys these few days and I'm so overjoyed. I'm crying typing this because of how happy I am. I hope this encourages fellow parents to spend time with your kids because there's nothing quite like it. Thank you for the judgment and support. Let's go to some final comments. I'm confused why this wasn't an everyone sucks. What sister-in-law said was super mean too. I'm glad it worked out, but I hope you guys build better boundaries about not saying awful things to each other. Same. It was really cruel and callous to say that her sons wished Alice was their mum. Opie sounds like a single mum, and society doesn't always treat single mums so kindly. Alice was super judgmental and self-righteous to make a remark like that, like somehow she's a better mum because she has a partner to raise her kids with. I'm glad it all worked out though. I hope her and her boys can make some wonderful memories together. Alice told Opie unprompted that Opie's kids preferred her more and that Opie was a terrible mum. Why? Because Opie came to collect her kids, as is her right as mum. Opie was excited about having an evening to bond with her kids, so wanted her kids to stay with her that night as planned, as is her right as their mum. And then Alice started feeling entitled and got rude. Then her brother called Opie to berate Opie for living in a terrible neighborhood and also called her a terrible mum, although Opie is clearly trying and working all hours to provide the best for her sons after having them young and has been clearly struggling ever since. Alice and Opie's brother sound like terrible people, especially considering that they did complain to Opie about having her kids over after school. And it's not a comparable situation. Opie had a kid at 16 and is raising them on one income in a single-parent household. Brother and Alice have a two-income, two-parent household and had their kids as adults when they had started their careers and were financially secure. And yet, not only do they complain just as much as OP, they judge her for not having as much time to spend with her kids as they do. If OP stops working, what will her kids eat? Where will they live? Exactly. Opie, if you read this, what Alice said was horrid. Keep your distance from her and brother. That she could say that to you and your brother would support it shows that they judge you and do not have your best interests at heart. You had an evening to spend with your sons, came to get them. Alice said no. Instead of saying, "Kids, time to go, mum's here, grab your things," like a normal adult, your kids were being teenagers and saying no, and Alice backed them up, and then berated you for not spending time with your kids, the very thing you came to do, and Alice was refusing to let happen. Your kids can decide at 16 if they want to go to their aunt and uncle's house after school. Don't stop them if they want to, but 16-year-olds shouldn't need childcare. And you're right, neither do 15-year-olds, so there'll be no obligation, and you can just wait for them in the car when you pick them up. No need to go in and speak to your sister-in-law or brother if they think you're a terrible mum or your kids love Alice more. It's good to make more time for their music recitals in the last 2 years of school, but I'm sure that your sons will and do appreciate how hard you've been working for them, and at some point will dislike Alice's attitude towards you. You're doing an incredible job. Keep your head up. As soon as your kids are in the 16 to 18 age, you're good to limit contact with Alice and brother to essential only. No need to make time for people who clearly have very little respect for what you do or the sacrifices you've been making to provide for your family. Not the a-hole, and I don't understand how you were ever voted one. Yeah, enough said. After that comment, I think I'm firmly on that side. What about you guys? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's the end of that story, and we'll move on again. Okay, for something a little bit different, we're going over to the D&D subreddit. This one was written by user nerdygirl245, and it's titled, "I began dating my DM, and it's wonderful." So I first started playing D&D in December of 2021 because I finally made a friend that got me into the game. I've been interested in it for over a decade, but never had the chance to play. That friend extended the invitation to play in a new campaign their DM was running on Discord, and I happily accepted. That game only lasted from January to March of 2022 because of a crappy player ruining it for the rest of us, but in that time I started a friendship with the DM. It started as me messaging him for clarification on a rule or developing a better backstory for my character, and soon turned into sending each other good morning and good night texts every day and chatting on voice call for hours. I'm not sure exactly when it happened for me, but at some point it kind of just hit me that I was developing feelings. I didn't want to ruin the great friendship I had with him, so I just kept quiet about it. Fast forward a few months and a few more short campaigns, and now we're in July. Long story short, we basically confessed to liking each other, but neither of us saying anything to not ruin the friendship, and have now been dating ever since. I can't even begin to tell you how great it has been with him. We both love D&D and are working on homebrewing a world together, and we're currently playing a one-on-one game together that we're both having so much fun with. We're long distance right now because we live 15 hours away from each other, but I got to meet him in November, and it was better than I could have ever imagined. He took me to gaming cafes and hobby stores, and we watched movies together and cooked together and so much more. We saw this huge red dragon mini in a hobby store and are making plans to save up and have it displayed in our apartment, because why not? He's coming next week to meet my family, and I'm making preparations to move out to live with him in June. I know this isn't entirely related to D&D, but I just wanted to share how this amazing game allowed me to meet the love of my life. I can't wait to start a family with him and have a campaign we play with our kids every week. Thanks for reading. Ah, lovely. Some comments. If you can afford it, I'd do an extended vacation first, like 2 straight weeks of living together. See how you feel after that. Awesome to hear. Glad it's working out for you two. You better be getting some XP out of this. Opie says, we use milestones, but I did get a cool pet in the game he runs for a group of our friends, lol. And straight to an update, 19 months later. I know a lot of people were worried in my last post about me moving in with my boyfriend so soon. I just wanted to let everyone know that it ended up working out beautifully. My parents love him and were so helpful in the move. He flew out to my hometown the day before the move so I wouldn't be alone for the 15-hour drive to our apartment. We quickly fell into a routine when it comes to chores and taking care of our pets. He handles the bills and I buy everything for the house. Our finances are separate, but we make sure neither of us are ever without money. We share the same taste in movies and video games, so we're never without an idea for date nights. So far, I've been here for about a year and a half, and we haven't had any major issues when it comes to handling conflicts. We're both pretty good about sitting down and talking things through. I could go on, but I don't want this post to be too long. Every Sunday through Tuesday we play D&D together in the evenings. I help with recruiting players for new games, and we both enjoy bouncing ideas back and forth for campaign ideas. I usually end up co-DMing with him, helping other players with backstories and world lore. I took a crap at DMing myself once, but that was a crash and burn. I'm nowhere near as good at improv as he is, so I stick to helping with world building and creating lore while he handles running the games. Our text-based one-on-one is still going strong, and we have a lot of fun with planning out hypotheticals for that story. We never did get that big dragon mini. Bills, am I right? But we still eye it up whenever we go to the hobby store, lol. Also, I'm happy to announce that he's not my boyfriend anymore. He's my husband-to-be. We plan on getting married next October, with our families and friends with us. Yes, including our D&D friends. I found customizable D20s that will have our initials and wedding date engraved on the 20 side. We plan to get these as wedding gifts for our guests as a testament to how we met. I will forever be grateful to this amazing game for helping me meet the love of my life. I couldn't imagine myself anywhere else but right here, nerding out with the man I love. Thanks again for reading. And a nice wholesome post to end up on today. Thanks for making it to the end, folks. I hope you enjoyed those stories, and I'll see you all in the next video. Happy holidays. Cheers.